I'm like, okay, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That
Amen.
actually encouraged me. I went
Amen.
inside the room and there was this remote engineer who would tell me what to do. So normally what would take an expert, let's say 2 hours to finish, I took the entire day and still I did not finish it.
Good day, gentle ladies and men. Welcome to the Mide Olayiwola channel. This is Expat Experiences. Today, I've brought another amazing personality to the studio. And as always, I bring you amazing, brilliant, well-established people that you can actually learn from. And today, we're moving just a little bit away from corporate and we're moving into the business world. Today, in the studio with me is a friend of mine. She's been a friend of mine since forever. But she is a brilliant medical doctor who has branched into the IT world. She's the managing director of a B2B IT outsourcing firm. And today I want to learn all about her experiences, why she started. She's going to tell us how her everyday looks like, as a managing director. It's not easy to have a friend who's a managing director, guys. So join me as I welcome to my studio, Dr. Adora Dagogo.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
How are you?
Good.
It's good to have a serious version of her here. Usually when we're together, it's like another version. And those kind of friends that you see on LinkedIn and you're like, this is my this is what. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I knew from the beginning that because I'm talking to people working in corporate, I'm talking to people doing well, making, especially, wherever you see women doing great things, you'll find me there, right? So,
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk to people, especially women making giant strides in business. And I knew that I was definitely going to talk to you. So, let's go straight to it.
Let's get on it.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do at Stekad. I mean, you're the best person to introduce yourself, so please.
Let me just add the little on top of what she said. Yes, managing director of Stekad, oversee the day-to-day activities, make decisions that it's important for the company. What's Stekad about? Stekad is an IT outsourcing firm. We're registered in both the UK and in Nigeria. We literally provide services and solutions to our clients, our companies that are out there in Europe as well as in Africa and worldwide. It encompasses everything IT. So we handle your IT infrastructure, ensuring that everything is on point, from cybersecurity to backup, remote monitoring, cloud computing. And then when there's a problem, we're able to send someone down there. So we've got resources, engineers all over the world, especially in Africa and in Europe. And we just ensure that your IT is running. So we're just like the extension of your company, ensuring that everything regarding that is okay and you focus on your main business.
Okay, amazing. I mean, I totally understand this, and I mean, I know what you do at Stekad, but business people and also people in corporates, we put a lot of words together, just buzzwords, and we just throw them around.
Okay.
In a lay person language, just imagine you're speaking to someone in SS1.
Okay.
Why is Stekad important? What do you do at Stekad that is so important that a company has to approach you? What do you do in an SS1 student's team?
Okay, that's hard. Must say, because usually all these technical jargons are
It's the core of your work.
It's hard to put it in layman understanding. But I think the easiest way to look at it from would be being an extension of your company, right? So look at it as instead of getting a consultant that helps you manage your IT. From IT, I'm talking about your IT networks, your laptops, servers, routers, everything that leads to having the full complete structure. So instead of getting a consultant to do that or getting a single person, you get an entire company, and that's very useful because the limitations of an individual would not be something that we would also face because we've got a group of experts, right? So,
But it also means you're more expensive than an individual.
that could be it, but it depends on how you look at it. Because now, if you're going to get an individual who's probably good in just cybersecurity, and then something goes wrong, in terms of, let's say, your networks. Let's say you're trying to install something and you don't have that, you would need to go and get someone else. So for every activity you need to do, you would probably need to get an expert, and experts are expensive. Well, look at that and then compare it with you're working with just Steckard,
and you have everything.
You have everything in one package, right? So you don't have to worry about nothing. And in terms of getting someone to get on site, maybe you've got an office in, for example, Nigeria, and then also in South Africa. You don't need to start looking for, okay, who am I going to send in South Africa? Who are the resource persons or engineers? You have Steckard, you've got everything.
So Steckard has engineers in virtually
exactly
every country in the world.
Okay. And we could also monitor your device remotely. So if there's a problem or if you need someone, we've got resource person engineers in both Africa and Europe. Yeah.
I mean, this question I want to ask should maybe come later, but let me ask now because I mean we're in the mood of talking about.
Now I'm scared.
So by the way, guys, I didn't tell her anything. I just told her like, just come sit, and I'm gonna ask you questions. But okay, so then how do you make money at Steckard? Do you charge companies, on a subscription basis, or is it like monthly retainers, or how exactly do you charge companies?
Good question. We use a combination of different things. It all depends on what the client wants. We're quite flexible, and this is one of the things that makes us stand out. So if you want to do pay as you go based on what you require of us, then you pay for that particular service. That's something that we could jump on. So for example, you need an engineer at a certain time. We're able to send that engineer just that time. So you pay like just a one-time fee and that's it. But if you want something like you want us to be in the background every now and then, you spoke about retainer. So there's that retainer. We're there. Once there's a problem, we come on board. And then there is the monthly subscription where you want, maybe for example, you need one of our engineers on full-time basis, so you use services for that. So full-time we're there. So it all depends on whatever works for you. We will definitely make it work.
Okay. Now this brings me to the very, very, very important question.
Okay.
You're a medical doctor. I know that this human being here spent years and years studying.
6 years.
Studying medicine, and you're a medical doctor.
Yes, that's right.
A doctor is not PhD. It's actually she's a medical doctor.
Medical doctor.
So like,
guys.
how did you decide to move from medicine to IT? They're like this, and you're not even doing, health tech.
Yeah.
So to say, you're doing like
tech
IT.
itself.
Yeah. So like, what?
Yeah.
What motivated that? What brought about that?
Good question. I mean, I get that question every now and then. It's like anytime you hear me speak and then someone gets the opportunity to ask me a question, the first question is, knowing that I'm Dr. Adora Dagogo, right? You're like, doctor, most likely PhD medical. So sometimes they always guess medical. And then they're like, how did you transition? Like, and it's always fascinating to a lot of people. And sometimes to many people, it's like a motivation. Especially when I tell the story, I always like to say that, tech found me. I didn't find tech. And I say that to mean I was fully in medicine, like, purely in medicine, went on to do my master's in public health to tell you how, my medical background is strong. I was building that career part. Along the line, I think I was working in the hospital for a while, and it just happened that there was a particular gig. So this is how I like to share the story. There was a particular gig, and a friend of mine had this gig that he needed to go for. But for one reason or the other, he couldn't make it. And then he calls me, Adora, I have this gig, and he's the IT guy, right? So it was a networking gig, computer networks, installations, and all of that. And he's like, he can't make it, and he wants me to go on his stead. And I'm like, you want me to go on your behalf? Guy, I'm a medical doctor. And it's like, there's nothing you can do. If you set your mind to do it, you get it done. And that was the game changer, when he said that to me, I was like, okay, that's how this guy packaged CV for me. and then sent it to the client, the customer, that I'll be the engineer going. Now that day, the tax didn't pull through. But guess what? Because the client had my details, the next time there was a ticket, they called me. And when they called me, I was like, wow, these guys mean business. So I embraced it. I remember what he told me. And so I decided to go. When I went there, getting into this big organization, I was taken into their IT room. This is me. I've never seen what cables look like. You get? So I don't know what an IT room looks like. I've never been into anything like that. I enter into the IT room and oh my God, I saw a bunch of cables. Like there was a full rack of cables and all the switches and routers and server. And it was a big company. So
did you try to run away?
Oh, yes, I did. I even went there with a friend. So yes, I did. I first of all went out. I told my friend that, see, what I saw in there, I don't think I can. And then I looked at it, the number of persons I would disappoint if I was to run. So I was like, okay, but what if I was to pull a plug? You know how it works in network? Like if you remove something, the whole thing can just come crash off. Yeah. And then it's not be me. And I'm black, a woman of color. I'm like, okay. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That actually encouraged me. Amen. I went inside the room and there was this remote engineer who would tell me what to do. So normally what would take an expert, let's say 2 hours to finish. I took the entire day and still I did not finish it. I felt really bad. I felt like they're not going to pay me and they're not going to call me back again. But guess what? They paid me. And when they paid me, the money I got was, the amount I was making from the hospital if I was to work a full week, I got that working a full day in this IT gig. How much did you get? Which one is No, we can't say it. We can't say you want people to, everybody will just migrate to IT next day. They'll leave their professions. No, we still need medical doctors. They're quite important. Yeah. So when that I was like, what? And the funny thing is, I've been telling a friend of mine who, fortunately I saw him today at the train station. We used to work in the hospital together and I was like, I can't wait where I don't have to do any work per se, going somewhere and then money comes in. And then he said to me that day that the only way that's possible is when you run a company. But I never saw myself doing that. So I just, never. I was a career person, not a business person, to be honest. I'm shocked. I was building that life, to be honest. I've never done my mom is the businesswoman. She's the businesswoman, not me. My dad is career. So I was going that light. But when that came up and then they kept calling me for more, in fact, they tagged me an engineer, expert engineer, and I was getting more gigs and more gigs. Some I could not go for, had gigs all over Europe, all of those things. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just make this a business? A friend of mine encouraged me and said, yeah, go for it. Because we're going to, come under another company that was established. But she's like, it's the same outcome. So just go all the way, and literally did that. And that was how we started. And then how was it at the beginning? Like stressful. It's like getting clients, then getting established engineers. Yes. It's a whole lot. I wouldn't lie to you. It was a lot of work, hard work, but I give it to the team and especially to God, because one of the things that the Holy Spirit does is that it gives you direction. He says you hear a word behind you, tell you this is the path, go in it. So anytime that those instructions come, we easily see those results, right? It tells you how best to pitch to a client. It's as deep as that. So the team I was working with, they were eager to work, ready and willing to put in the work that was needed. They were not the experts, but they were willing to learn. And I think that that's everything. Having a good team can tell how far you would go. Not just any team, having the right team. Yeah. There's a saying that if you want to go, far, you should go with a team. But what if you want to go fast and far? Because if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with a team. But if you want to go fast and far, so my saying is go with the right team. So when you go with the right team, you can go fast and far. So I give it to the team. It was a lot, but really God helped us from 1 client to 2 to 5. And then we started learning the ropes. And once you learn the ropes, I think it showed significantly in our revenue. Our first year, what we hit, when you compare it with the second year, you could see it was triple. Different. It was triple because we had learnt and we're not using that to sustain and then so we've been doubling and tripling since then. Yeah. I mean, I can relate to
talking about getting the right set of people on your team.
Yes.
You can actually do anything if you have the right set of people who are motivated to go on the
Yes.
journey with you and
Yes.
put in their all,
Yes.
and I know this because I also run an organization, and I know that for someone running something far away from Nigeria and
Mm-hmm.
projects are still being implemented in Nigeria, it's because I have the right set of people that are
I've
actually
seen
holding
that.
it down.
True.
Right. So, but then this is also the situation with like, people trying to venture into business,
Mm.
it's not, how did you in your case pick the right people, and did you pay them? Because I mean, it's at the beginning you're not making money, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs want to start something, and then they're like, but I cannot afford to pay you, and I cannot blame people when they say that they cannot work for free at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
So how did you choose these right people, and did you pay them? Where did you get the money from? How did you start up? Like, okay, you can say that maybe you started the business just by putting this and this together without like a huge capital. But what
Yeah.
about the team that you were working with? Did you
You need
have
to
to
pay
pay
them.
them and things like this?
Um, Frankly speaking, no one has asked me that question, and I'm always happy that they don't ask me, because that's like almost giving you part of my secrets. And currently I'm also a business consultant, so it's one of the things I tell a lot of startups or people who want to start a business how to navigate that part, because that's like a safe zone if you're able to do that. So guys, so after now you can, for
Don't
more
worry.
information, but I will just
I'll
give
put our
you
LinkedIn URL in the description.
Yeah, because I mean, many businesses fail in their first 3 years. Steckard is beyond 3 now, and yeah, we know we are here to stay. Actually, we know it. Our account says so. So, but there are certain things you need to learn in that first 3 years, especially when you want to start. You need to be smart. So one of the hardest, the primary things is always, you need, actually, depending on what you want to do, but you always need that techie person, right? Maybe software engineer or something. And they're the ones that are most expensive, to be honest. They tell you their price to build website and then manage it for you. And you have zero clue on how that works. But it's good to be strategic. You can either do partnership, right? That's one way. You could also do maybe, okay, you do this for me, I'm going to pay you X amount of money after a period of this time. So maybe 6 months, I'll pay you this amount. It's all about negotiation. Or you could also do a commission base and say, okay, I pay you certain commission out of what you do.
You can
Right?
also
Or
make this person a CTO, for
yes,
example.
exactly. Shares as well. You could give the person shares, and so you get earns. I mean, it's all about what you want to negotiate and plan with. I didn't really go that route, to be honest. I went in a different route that has paid off over time. But I didn't go that route because it's a bit tricky. It depends on who you. So having the right team is good. So the people who started with me are people I could trust. So I didn't just go out and say, guys, I'm looking for someone, right? Yes, there are people I could
You
trust.
looked around you.
Yes, I looked around me and looked for people who had what I was looking for. And one of my major criteria is being willing to work and help me push the vision. But started with just 7. And everybody on the team till today, they keep pushing, literally. Like, they got the vision when I explained it to them. They saw an opportunity to make money. And they could see that it was, I mean, there was going to be something in for them, right? And I didn't look for people who were moved by money. I looked for people who, had
The
vision, right? Who were much more about what's to come. That if we were to put in the work, this is how much we could earn. Because if you're getting people who just want, okay, how much you want to pay me, they're not ready to go all the way with you, and that means at some point when you break, which usually you would break, prepare for it. It's part of it. Yeah, there are many times there are many times. I tell my senior managers, I see you, this is what's up, and they're like, yeah, cool, we're here with you. Let's push. What do I have to do? What do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? So I think that is a course on its own that you should come and meet me, and we will discuss how to literally pick, because it's everything. I think that's the best thing that happened to Steckard. Instead of people that started Steckard, it's the best thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So you've talked about Steckard is here to stay.
Yes.
You've talked about the revenue. My question to you is it worth it? Has it been worth it? You cannot tell us exactly how much you're making at Steckard.
Of course.
But has it been worth it? Thinking about where you started from, how you imagined, Steka to be at the beginning. Has it turned out to be that? And is it worth it? Do you feel fulfilled? And do you have enough money in your pocket as the person who started? Because I've heard, things like, as the founder, the first 5 years, you cannot pay yourself, you cannot get money, you cannot. So, is it worth it financially to say, for example, if someone is currently working in corporate Germany and say they have this vision, and they want to run by it, is it worth it? Has it been worth it for you? And would you tell people to actually, apply that route?
Short answer, yes. But recently I had a meeting with my team. So if they are watching this, they will remember. And I came on that call. It was, we always do this Monday trainings, right, with me. And I mean, there's a lot, again, see me after. There's a lot to learn in trying to build a company that you wanted to stay, right? The first 5 years is everything. I always tell my people we're still in that learning curve. A lot of work is still going on. But I told them, don't be an entrepreneur. Don't start. Just continue with your 9 to. Don't think about like. I'm not thinking of like because it's tough. You are kind of like you're alone. Do you get like they have someone to cry to. Who do you cry to? The best you can cry to is God. Outside of that, even God will tell you, don't worry.
Keep at it. I will not
Encourage yourself in the
I will
Lord.
not give you something you cannot handle.
Exactly.
Keep doing it.
That's literally it, right? Those burdens are yours to bear. No matter how you want them to get the vision, they will never carry it like the vision.
You're the one carrying it.
They will never see it that way. They never get. And this is why, as a leader, generally, you must learn where the people come in decision making, and you must learn where you come
have
in.
to do.
So it's both. It's a dual system. It's not just I'm going to listen to the people and that's it. If you listen to people, guys, you get into gutter, to be honest, and they will leave you there and jump to the next place. So you have to combine both. In trying to answer the question, yes, it's worth it. If I look back now, I'm really grateful to God. I'm grateful to two persons outside of God that literally, in fact, let's make it three. The first would be a friend. The first would be a mentor today, who literally taught me. She had a business like this as well. She was doing it, and she was just telling me why we as believers need to literally enter into the business world, get into the marketplace. And, she was giving me the perks of being your own boss and all. The way she spoke with so much passion, like I was like, what? And then I just loved that life, being my own boss. I can go to anywhere I need to go to. I don't need to take permission from nobody. You get that kind of feeling. So I was so happy about it. And anytime I see her, I always remind her that was a seed and it has yielded, and she's so proud of me. So that's one person. Second person is the friend who told me to go all out, because I was going to come under a company, and she was like, no, stand alone. And that was where the name Steckard emerged from. And then the third would be, who's that? Yeah, so an instrumental person who helped us so at first we started remotely. So this would be a small tip. You don't have to have a physical location, right? But when we now wanted, as our second year, we were having some problems that it required us to have a physical office. And that was the game changer for us, to be honest. When we had a physical location, we had people dedicated to going there 9 to 5, but that also meant you had to take a risk, but it was a calculated one. Now that move was bettered by this person. And that was something that till today I'm most grateful for, because that tripled
in Nigeria, right?
Yes, that tripled our resources from what it was to our revenue from what it was to. Yeah. So yes, it's totally worth it. It has given me a lot of exposure. In the past 4 years, I've grown. Yeah, I've grown massively, and I give that praise to God, and also the boldness to take the step, walking a path that you do not really have many role models. It's quite dangerous, but when you've got God, you've got everything. And the funny thing is, now I have got a lot of mentors. Right, in what I do, business, I've got like 4 of them, because the moment you take that step, and you're doing well, people begin to look for you, and you're like, yo, that's a bright star. Let me work on hard here, and then this is what it is. So, yeah, my parents are super proud of me.
Yeah, of course.
At first, they fought this. They literally fought. When you spend your money, hard-earned money, 6 years, you sent to medical school. You will be that proud father now. Finally, you have a doctor in the family. And then she comes to tell you that I want to start a company. What? Are you sure you want God well money from me? But the entire family are beneficiaries of what God is doing in Steka today, so they are super proud.
Okay, so at the beginning, you mentioned that Stekad is registered in the UK and in Nigeria.
Yes, right.
Is there a reason why you registered Stekad in the UK and not in any other, why didn't you choose any other European country?
Yeah.
And why is it also registered in Nigeria? Why?
Okay. Another free one, right? A free one. Free one. See all this free information that one is giving.
Well,
please,
you're my friend, you're my channel.
Exactly. That's why I'll tell them now. Subscribe now. Just go and subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe and comment. If you just watch and you don't subscribe, it is well with yourself. So, first off, I think it was based on the time, the duration it takes to get a company registered. How there were less bureaucracies when you register with the UK. It was pretty fast. Probably the same day actually. So that was why it was the UK. And you need to have an establishment in the UK to operate in the UK, right? And possibly if you want to operate outside as well, when you use a company registered in the UK, it's easier to relate to it. Someone wants to do business with a company that's got registration in the UK than someone who says my business in Africa. So there is that. We started from the UK actually. It was after a while we had to get registered in Nigeria, and that was because seeing that we had an operation going on in Nigeria and we wanted to enter into the African market as well. So we needed a registration because when you want to approach businesses in Africa to do anything, they tell you, we are your documents, So we can't show them the document for UK. It doesn't fly in the African countries or continents. So yeah, that was pretty
Okay, makes sense. You talked about it's going to be hard, it's going to be this if you're an entrepreneur and things like this. And I appreciate the honesty because, a lot of people just talk about, I want to be my own boss. I mean, if you work in corporate, you work 9 to 5 and you're like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I'm just tired. I want to be able to travel. I want to work from home. I want to work from my bed. We talk about all of these things. And sometimes I also tell myself, okay, but that at the end of every month, there is something that you're expecting.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the day, if this is not working, you can move to another company.
Yeah.
Right? But if you are building something, especially if you're someone who has a big dream and you're building something, it takes a while to build something.
Yes.
And you might not get all your as an entrepreneur, you don't have holidays. You don't have it's like you work around the clock. Sometimes you're free in the morning and you're walking around, but you're also awake at 3 a.m.
That's me.
And doing so many other things. It is what it is. I can close at 5 p.m. But the owner of a company is most likely working at 2 a.m. It's what it is. But I want you to touch on some of the challenges that you've experienced or encountered in this your 4 years journey, and tell us exactly how you overcame some of them or what you did to bypass some of these challenges so that we learn and we know that it's not a straight journey, right? But even though there are rough paths on the way or something like this, that you can actually still surmount this hurdles.
Yes, I think you've said it. It's really not easy. So the last person to be paid in your business is actually you. That's if there's anything that's left. By the time you're done paying everybody, whatever that is left, you would have to work with it. There's no fixed amount of money that comes to you. And that's because for us as Steka, we wanted to build that reputation where we're not owing people. Right, that we don't say, okay, we can't pay you this month or in the next 2 months, so can we? And that's something we give God praise for because over the past 4 years, God has helped us there. We're not owing anyone, or there's never a time we had to, okay, we have to pay you after 3 months or something. And that also goes to say that as an entrepreneur, you need a lot of discipline. you don't have the liberty to do what everybody is able to do. You're not 95, so stop thinking that way. You chose a path, so maintain your lane, right? Do not just when there is money, there's an opportunity for, like funds come in, you'd be like, oh, that's the best time for me to go and, flex and all of those things.
You only live once.
Like, that's not the time to start taking all the trips when you've not paid people. So this is how I see it. I believe in rewarding yourself 100%. I do that as well a lot, but that's when you've put in a lot of work. So, and you're not anticipating result. So you do not enjoy on a result that's yet to come. Right? So you enjoy out of the outcome of your hard work.
What you have in your hands.
Exactly. And this is different between someone who's doing 9 to 5, because they know that once they go to work and come back, it comes, right?
That day is done.
And they're going to get paid. Does not matter what the outcome was. They are being paid for their time. In entrepreneurship, you're not paid for your time. You're paid for the results of your time. So if you put in the time and you were using the time for something that does not count or does not help your business, at the end of the day, there is no revenue. So that payment, which is $0 or dollars or euros at the end of the month, is the result of the time that you put in there, right? So every minute counts. You cannot just be busy doing nothing. You have to be busy doing something that would boost the revenue. So that way you can enjoy the way you want to enjoy. So you reward yourself based on the good work you've done that you can now see the result. So when I feel like the best time in our company is when we are over hitting our targets, right? Because that means I get to enjoy. Do you understand? And the more we keep surpassing it, the more I keep enjoying. Do you get me? Yes.
The more I keep enjoying. Because I can collect money.
So, well, it's not been like very easy. I'm still having those moments. This is the thing. Within your first 5 years, and I think even up to 10 years, you keep having those moments. We started with literally zero capital, if that makes any sense. So it's not like we got funding or something. I didn't see the need for it at the time. And I've had days where I literally have to just sit down and ask myself, how do I pay these guys? Literally, I've got how many mouths to take care of. How do I pay this person? How do I pay this engineer? How do I pay this staff? And just thinking, and just, and sometimes everyone gets their own share and you get nothing. And you have to still come the next day at work and smile.
Show up,
Do you understand? And keep pushing. And they have got no idea that nothing came to you. Nobody cares. Do you get? Everybody's waiting for their money. It's like they don't want to know the business was good, business was bad. I'm the only one who knows and cares to know. Even if you show them the record, they don't care. Give them money. So you need to think about it a lot. I always say the best way to go about it is combining it with your 9 to 5. If you have the capacity to go alone and quit 9 to 5 and do it, or not even have 9 to 5 and just start with that, think twice, not just twice. Think twice and be sure that that's what you want to do. Do you get? Because quitting is not an option, right? You got to make it work. There's always a way. So before you start, have the calculated steps. You could have a part-time job, that could help you so that your needs are taken care of. We've just been graced thus far, honestly, because Steka has been paying my bills for how many years? I left working for someone for like 4 years now, and God has been faithful. So you really need to think about it.
I mean, what you just said, one of the entrepreneurs that I also brought on the show also mentioned this. And it's just about also you have a dream and you're fueling your dream from the amount or from the money or from the returns you're getting from your 9 to 5. That's the best way not to get into debt. That's the best way not to overwork yourself. I also have entrepreneur friends who, what keeps them up at night is sometimes not about the business making money. It's the fact that they have so many people to feed. So it's like, I cannot afford not to work because several people have to be paid.
That's me 100%. I keep telling my managers that we cannot slow down because families, this is how I put it, families depend on us. Families, we've got about 20 plus staff members, and I'm like, these guys are depending on us one way. If we break, then that means somebody somewhere, their uncle or their auntie, it could go as deep
Someone
as
is not
that.
feeding. That's just what it is.
So we do what we do to ensure that everyone in there is happy and they keep moving on.
Okay, so I'm not going to forget. So share. I want one example.
One
One mistake you made in the past, or in the past 4 years, that 5 years, that you learned from, and we can also learn from, and how you corrected this mistake.
There are a lot.
Just give us one.
So just trying to think of one. There are a lot. So how I corrected it. It depends on how you look at it. So let me give you one, for example. When we started, right? Because when you start in a business, especially for someone like me, I didn't really know a lot, right? But all I had was, I was confident, right? I was bold. I knew I could do it. But I had to do a lot of research, learning on the job. I was reading and reading and reading. In every department that Steckard has today, if I am to speak or do a training there, it will be like as though I'm an expert. And that's because I had to give myself, I know you've got to know sales. You've got to know accounting. You've got to know project management. I mean, you've got to have a hand of all of these
Different
things.
skills.
Do you get? Yes. You might not be like
the expert,
but you have an idea of how it
Mhm.
works in such a way that if you speak, someone will even think you're an expert, right? It's when you find the real expert and then two of you start speaking, they're like, I caught you there. So, at that initial stage, when we were trying to get our website and everything together and the software engineer we had, our asset was in the name of the software engineer, right? So we had a very wrong approach towards asset management, right? It was based on that individual, right? It wasn't centralized where I had access and this other person, because we never thought that, the staff would one day have to leave. So when the staff had to leave, the company broke down for a period of 6 months.
Access to your website.
We didn't have access to nothing. Like there was, in fact, what made it worse was that there was a problem that was going wrong. We couldn't have access to solve the problem because we didn't have the login details. And when what we had wasn't good enough. When we had to reach the hosting company and they said that, the account wasn't registered in your name, it's registered in this person's name, and they're trying to reach this person. They couldn't get this person. I was also trying to reach this person. It was just a whole lot. And without that person's authorization, we couldn't do nothing.
So,
so
it wasn't in Steckard's name, it was in a private name.
It was in a private name. And, I remember the guy telling me that was working in that, hosting firm that, you're not supposed to have made such a mistake. But I didn't know. Who was going to tell me? I didn't know.
You just wanted to build a website.
Yes. I didn't think of, in 5 years, this thing might, I don't know. I just didn't know. It was a lot. We had several management meetings. Everybody was boiling. I was super angry, because it was stopping our business, our website, our ability to be online is everything for what we do. We're talking with customers in Europe, in America, in Africa. I mean, we constantly need to be online. That's our real office, So it was, and this did not just happen for a day. Imagine closing down shop for 1 week. Do you know what that does? So that means if our clients are trying to reach us, because our email wasn't working, nothing. So if clients reach out to us, they're not able to reach us, they take us as unserious. We're like, okay, go to the next person.
Yeah.
And our market is very, very competitive. Very, very. I mean, IT as a whole is competitive. So that was a very big mistake, and it took a lot to correct it. So right now,
did you eventually get a new hosting, a new domain?
So the only way that could work is if we're going to change. So what they had advised is we should change it from stecker.com. I'm like, I've built a brand for the past 2-3 years with stecker.com. You said we should change it. What? And no. It was a lot. So we didn't. We had to, at some point, it was almost going legal as well. But we had to look for a way to finally get hold of this individual, and it took a lot of time because then uh, he was also working at his space, he's busy, all those things. I mean, I understand. You've left the company, it's not longer your business anymore. What happens? But then, yeah. So it took us months.
But you were eventually able to
Yes, so
transfer.
we were able to finally transfer. Another thing is the company had helped us to an extent, so they were able to bring back. I think based on communication and all of that, the lovely guy at the back end was able to restore things temporarily. While we try and sort out the move. So it was after about 1 week. So, but the move finally happened after about 6 months of constant communication. So imagine if that guy didn't help us, that means for 6 months we'll be down, and yeah.
That could have been like the beginning of the end of Steckard.
Yes, it literally, I said we were having management meeting back to back. Nobody could sleep. No, everybody, like, we're just looking for a way, how, like, literally. Emails are not working. This means like if they go, because we don't have like walk-in clients. Do you understand? No. So even if they go to the office, they can't do nothing because they don't have access to their emails. Do you get? And if that's not happening, money is not coming in. But expenses are still there. Your expense becomes constant, if not that it increases. Whereas no money comes in. And that was because that was actually, it was a mistake I've learned from it.
Do you think that, okay, I think you already answered it, because like my question was about, do you have to be an expert then if you want to start a business? Because I had a business once before and I didn't know PIM. I was just a sales and marketing person and it thrived.
Okay.
Right? But so my question is, so if you have a particular product, do you really need to know how to build that product or how to for example, what Steckard is doing, like, be an expert in cybersecurity, be an IT network expert or something like this? Do you have to be expert in all of these different fields to actually run the business?
No. Short answer, you don't have to be. In fact, you can use both. Okay, so I used both. I had experts in some areas, and some I had people who were just available, right? So I became their expert to teach them, because again, nobody understands your business more than you. However, when it comes to the technicality of that department, you need someone who has gone to school, probably has got experience in that. So you don't. But while you're at it, even if you get in an expert, you have to be smart.
You need to know what's going on.
You need to know what's going on. So do not act like
a dummy.
That was the word in my head, but I didn't want to say it. Right? Don't act like that. Don't act as a dollar. Don't act like it doesn't concern me. Don't put your 100% trust in one person. Because the truth is, if tomorrow comes and you're probably on your knees on the floor, they might walk out without looking back. They don't owe you nothing. Do you get? So you need to look out for those worst case scenario. So like now, I understand those things, though. I know what that looks like, because my engineering that I learned at first was more or less like the hardware, not the software. But in order to understand how that area works, I had to take courses in software engineering, right? I've taken a couple of them. So I have an idea on, for example, I know what WordPress is. I can even build a website by myself. I don't even need to do anything. I can create an email for myself. I know different hosting platforms now. So you got to know those things. Otherwise, they will sell you jargons and you'll be nodding your head and saying, wow, yes. And when they know you don't know, they take advantage of that.
That's true.
Okay. So but when you act like you do know what you're saying, then they know, okay, this is not someone to mess around with. And that helps.
Okay, so I have two more questions.
Okay, shoot.
The second to last question is, what do you tell someone who actually wants to go into entrepreneurship, but is very risk averse? Somebody who doesn't really like to take risks. Do you think that they are not going to succeed as an entrepreneur, or do you think they could actually make something out of it?
Partnerships help a lot. All right. You don't have to be a founder by yourself, right? You risk averse, get someone who's ready to take that risk, partner with the person, right? In fact, I told you, a lot of investors, and this is my thought, and it's out there as well. A lot of investors prefer to invest in companies that have co-founders, because they believe that the day one of them decides to move mad, probably the other person would tell, don't move mad like that. You understand? So they believe that it's not a sole decision, right, that you're making. And so jump into partnership. You want to stand alone and you're risk adverse. Uh, it's hard because you need to take risks. Starting a company alone, it's a risk in the first place, right? You decide to quit your 9 to 5, it's another risk. You decide to not tell people, come and join me. What if it does not work? So it's a risk as well. So you need to be able to. I think one of the things that have helped me is I've been audacious, because leadership plays a huge part. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. So leadership plays a huge part in every organization. It's you want to see how far an organization would go, look at the leadership. This is why, again, you're going for funding. They already ask, who are the board members? Who are on the board, right? Who are your leaders? Very important, because it tells how far a company can go. So please, you don't have to do everything yourself. You have someone you trust that has the zeal that you really do want, that can say, okay, let's take this calculated risk, and then you are just the brainy. That's good combo there. So come up with those suggestions, ideas, and those, and it could also help, because then it's not everything that you jump at. You are the one that you don't like to jump, and then you have someone that likes to jump. That will create moderation, because moderation is key. It's not every opportunity you see you jump on. No. Some opportunities will literally lead to your end. So there are many times I always ask Holy Spirit, should we go ahead? Should we stay? Should we go ahead? Sometimes I ask my senior managers as well. So yeah.
Okay, now here's my final question. If I wanted to become an entrepreneur, or if there is someone listening who wants to be an entrepreneur, what are the skills that you think are the most important skills that they must have? So skills that they should start to build from now, skills that would actually help them to succeed in their entrepreneurship journey.
Okay. There are many of them, but I'll probably keep it simple, short. All of them, I think it falls on leadership skills, right? Very important. You need to also have, so I would unravel that leadership skills into, you need to have good communication skills. You gotta be a people's person, right? You need to talk. If you can't sell your vision to even the person you are trying to hire, how much more the client you are trying to convince to give you money? Make it make sense, right? So you need to also be good in pitch, in selling your business ideas. Be ready to sell it any day, anytime, right? Try to understand negotiation skills, right? It's very important. Be flexible. It doesn't have to always be one way, right? Be open to other ways of arriving at the same goal. You also have to be a great listener, right? So be a team player. Learn to work with people. Learn to also give people their space. Know when to withdraw. Know when to. So there is always micro and macro management. So understand how to work on both of them, and when to use micro, when to use macro. Also, if people don't buy into your idea, it doesn't mean that it didn't make any sense. It probably means one of two things. Maybe they just don't understand it. So you need to look for another way to communicate. So approach matters a lot. And maybe secondly, it's not just time. So there are seasons for different things. There's a time this idea could sell. There's a time that another one could also sell. So it all depends. It's just ever learning, continuous learning. You learn, relearn, right? Very, 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 and even unlearn, right? So those are important things that you just keep grinding.
Okay, so I cannot help but notice that you're wearing something that has stickers on it. So please read out exactly what you have on.
Yes. Elevating businesses with Steked IT solutions. Is that what's there?
Wow.
The funny thing, it's been a long time I actually wore this, or I've seen what's there. But because I'm the one that wrote it, I know what's there. So if you wake me up in the night, I tell you what's there, right?
Yes. Okay, gentle ladies and men, we're just to wrap up everything that we've talked about today. This wonderful human being beside me is the managing director of Steckard, and they provide IT solutions to different companies. So if you want an IT agency, I would say, to handle all of your business IT department in within your business, please call on Steckard. I will also put in the link to our LinkedIn in the description so you can connect with her. And just to summarize some of the things that I've actually learned from everything she's just said, you can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Think 3 times if you currently have a 9-to-5 job and you want to quit it and go all into entrepreneurship, because the journey is not a one-way street. It's not just straight ahead. There are hurdles on the way. You can overcome it. Your first 3 years, your first 5 years are the most difficult years. And you need several skills to help you along the way. So start grooming your leadership skills, learn how to be a team player. There are times that you also need partnerships. Of course, be wary of partnerships, know the kind of partnerships that you get. But if you're a risk averse person, be ready to get into business with, the right partners, so that's because it's important for you to take risks in business. And just to cap it up, I'm going to say that she started this just as something really small.
Yeah.
And Steckard is up there today. So, yeah, just take the risk. I mean, you're never going to know what will happen if you don't do it, right? So you're never going to know how big you're going to grow if you don't even start it. So don't quit your job, but just start it. I mean, and as you go, you realize, okay, this is something that might make sense. And and then you would thank yourself for it, for taking the bold step in the future. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Adora.
Dr. Adora Dagogo. That's my full name.
Dr. Adora Precious. Yes. We call her Precious. Dagogo. Yes. For coming on the show. Thank you for sharing from your wealth of experience.
Thank you for having me.
So please tell our people to subscribe.
Yes, resilient people. You've reached this level, so you're resilient. And it's very needful for business. Don't give up. So please subscribe. You've got a lot of free gems, right? Some people pay tons and tons of dollars. Yes. I do this also as a living. So as a business consultant, people pay for this, but now you've gotten it free of charge and got seat to Mide. So please, the least you can do is just hit that subscribe button, comment, and please share with as many people that you can, because you never know. It will help a lot.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I remain your amazing, brilliant host, corporate African girl, Mide Olayiwola. See you on the next episode.
Bye.